This video contains major spoilers that Concerned Ape just released there a handful of hours ago. We are going to talk about Stardew Valley. More importantly, we're going to talk about some of the previous builds that Concerned Ape has used, and we're also going to talk about some of the new 1.7 updates he has also mentioned. Now, this is all very exciting, and my adrenaline is just literally shooting out of my head right now. Because when he mentioned these new 1.7 updates, I just could not believe it. I was expecting one NPC now, to be fair, okay? But I was not expecting the other NPC as a marriage candidate. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just sit tight, we will get to that eventually. Looking back at Stardew Valley, this is 2012 concept, and this is when Concerned Abe was 6 months into the game, and this was his first real go at developing the game. And if you take a look at this now compared to what we have in this day and age, the skill level that has been achieved through all of those iterations, through all of that development, the mastering of code, the mastering of music, the mastering of animations, look how far this developer has come. And look at the passion that Concerned Ape has put into this game so far. All of the game developers around the world need to take a few minutes of their time to sit down and watch this. And they all need to understand how successful a game can become when you put your heart and soul into it. Just like Concerned Ape did, Mr. Eric Barone. What a man. Stardew Valley is one of the biggest indie games of our time. And a lot of people tend to forget that this game was more or less developed by just one person. Could you imagine the amount of discipline you would need to sit down and attack a project like this? To pour your heart and soul into something like this, and then every couple of weeks, every couple of months, when you make the game better and better in your mind, you're second guessing yourself all the time. You're asking yourself the questions: will people like my game? Will this game be a hit? If I put years of my life into this, will it be worth it? Could you imagine the stress, the intimidation that was going through that man's mind? Very frightening stuff indeed. To put everything he had, to put so much on the line, to give us this absolutely amazing game. When you look at the very early concepts of Stardew Valley, not Sprout Valley, you can actually see that he has basically taken every single bit of the early concept and he has upgraded it. Even when you look at the character running around there, you can tell that you're in Pelican Town, because he keeps the shape, he keeps the soul the same, but he just improves upon it again and again and again. He upscales, he improves constantly, and it's just an absolute dream to watch. What we see here is one of the very first models that he made of the regular mines. You can see all of the ores, you can even see the little quartz there on the ground, you've got the ladders, you can see the little slime enemies. One thing I've noticed from looking at the early concepts is how fast your character actually is. Your character is scary fast. Speedrunners would absolutely love to be this quick when they're roaming around Stardew Valley. Now, Concerned Ape did tell a little bit of a joke, and he did say that we might be getting a Way of the Wind part 100. If you don't know what a Way of the Wind is, I'm talking about the Book of Powers that got released during the 1.6 update. And the Way of the Wind increases your character's movement speed. And when you purchase the first Way of the Wind, the second one becomes available immediately. They are quite expensive, but it's a permanent buff, and it does make your character go faster for the rest of the game. So when he said Way of the Wind 100, I said to myself, yes, please, let it be so. 1 year later, we have the 2013 version of Stardew Valley, and look at the difference here. Look at the pixels, look at the art, look at the farmer, just look at the improvements that he made within 1 whole year. There's only one word that can be used to describe this, and that's determination. Someone that doesn't have a backup plan. Someone that's just put everything out on the table. This is what I have, this is what I want to do. I am ready to make sacrifices to get it done. And what we always have to remember is that Concerned Ape did all this himself. The amount of skills, the amount of software tools that he had to learn would have been insane to get all of this done within 1 year from the previous version. And from looking at this model, it almost looks like the Stardew Valley that we played today. You can tell by looking at the house, by looking at the farmer, by looking at the trash can there, looking at the tools, you know? And he even had some built-in systems that he took out. For example, here he opened up a screen and you were allowed to buy things from that screen because he didn't have the vendors nailed down just yet. So obviously he was going through development processes where he was thinking to himself, what systems would be best suited to this game? What systems should I leave in? What systems should I take out? From the very, very early game, he had the collection system, so you could track the fish you've caught, the artifacts you've found, which was really cool. Eventually, he turns that into more of a perfection system. Things needed to do in order to get star drops, things needed to do to get perfection. He also had an item of the day and an item of the week, which was very cool, but he scrapped that system because if something was item of the week, it would sell for an additional profit. So he was afraid that people would just hoard all of their goods and wait until all of the goods they had became item of the week before they would sell it. So that's why he scrapped it, because he didn't want to force people into these bottlenecks. You know, he wanted the game to be a little bit more free, a little bit more open, and he achieved that to great effect. And you can tell by looking at all the character sprites that at the moment they're very cartoony, but he does such a fabulous job over the next handful of years to upgrade those portraits, upgrade those sprites, and make them look even better. Concerned Ape talked about the mines, the design of the mines when he was first developing this game, and what we see here is a procedurally generated mines. So every time you go in here, you would get a totally different setup. And he also mentioned Core Keeper. You know, the Core Keeper came out many years after Stardew Valley, but he was very impressed with the level design of Core Keeper, and he also mentioned Terraria. The first pieces of inspiration he got for designing the mines was from Terraria. He said he wanted kind of a top-down for his mines, which is what we see here. You know, the characters kind of going downwards, you can kind of go left and right as well, but primarily you're kind of heading down and down and down, you know. We didn't see any staircases here, we didn't see any holes or nothing like that. What we do see, however, is that he can break away walls with the pickaxe. Now, I don't know about you, but I would absolutely love a mine level or a whole new mining experience with the 1.7 where you have to pickaxe walls away to find different rooms. That would be just so cool. And because Core Keeper have perfected this whole, you know, procedurally generated mine maps, I wouldn't be surprised if Concerned Ape looks back at all of this footage and he asks himself the question, I couldn't really do it back then, but with everything I know now, with all of the experience that I have accumulated, with the great success of Core Keeper, could I do a procedurally generated dungeon and put that into 1.7? Now, this is just me speculating, okay? I have no idea what he's putting into 1.7, except for the new marriage candidates. But wouldn't it be so cool if we got a little dungeon like this, where you had to destroy the walls to get into new areas? That would be so cool. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Next up, he is talking about this place called Goblin Village. Now, this is something that didn't make it into the base game, but look at all those little goblins, and what's very interesting is that when he kills a few of these goblins, they drop a weapon that we all know. It's called the carving knife, and that is a weapon that you can get when you play through Stardew Valley, when you play through the mines. It's one of the starter weapons that can come out of the barrels for you if you're lucky enough to get it. So if Concerned Ape didn't like something, and if he decided to scrap it, he would at least take some of the assets that he created and he would put those over into the base game. That's just being smart, you know? And if you take a look at those little goblin sprites, they look so cool. Wouldn't it be really cool to see them in the 1.7? It's probably not going to happen, but look how cool this bridge is. This is just unbelievable here. We need this in the 1.7. Please, Concerned Ape, give us some really cool deadly bridges. 2014, an additional year later, look at the difference. Willy was looking pretty good. If we take a look at the shop inventory, it does look a little bit different to how we see it now, so he has upscaled that. There's a lot of things too that were changed. The red wiggler is a piece of bait. He just changed that from red wiggler to bait. Nowadays we have multiple different types of baits, you know, depending on what we want to fish up. He had the community centre, and that's more or less the heart and soul of Stardew Valley, completing all of the bundles, you know, putting some sort of progression system into the game, you know. The portraits were much better, but they were lacking personality. They were lacking soul. And he does a great job on those portraits eventually, you know, before the main game comes out. There was no Joja. Morris didn't exist in this world of Stardew Valley. What a sad place it was. My opinion, I think the house looks great. I love that little arch just before you go into the bedroom there, I feel like it separates your house a little bit, your starter house. So you kind of have two little rooms there instead of one big room. 2015 came about. Concerned Ape was still hard at work. He made the intro screen. And this is the screen that we see today, with a couple of small modifications. For example, hitting some of the letters and giving some surprises. But we can see the valley there in the distance. We can see the lovely pink birds. We can see the clouds in the sky. And we've got that beautiful music that just always seems to get me into the Stardew Valley vibes, Ready to just set up a new game and just lock in for the night with a nice cup of tea. That's what Stardew Valley is. You've got your character creation. You can select your cat or your dog. You can even move the furniture around now so the house isn't as static as it was before. You'll notice that you get a treasure chest at the start. You still get the 15 parsnip seeds, but you get it in the treasure chest, You don't get the chest anymore. You get the little parcel instead. You've got your skills there, your relationships. You've got the map. You've got the collections list. The collection lists are a little bit bigger now. Outside, as you can see, most of the mechanics are still the same as of today. You're scything off the weeds, you can break open the stones, you can get your axe out, you can get rid of all of the wood debris around there, make some space on the farm, get it ready for some crops. You can hoe up the ground, but make sure you have your watering can close, because the more hoeing you do, the more watering you have to do. We can also see the big hardwood stumps as well, so we knew at this stage of the game he had the hardwood all sorted out. He also had the crafting menu sorted out as well, because once he finishes watering the crops, he's going to go into the crafting menu and he's going to craft up some fences. The only thing at this stage of the game that he wasn't happy with was the actual main character sprite. He felt that the character was a little bit too stiff, a little bit too wonky. As he puts it, a little bit too Pinocchio. No, at this stage of the game, we didn't have the Ginger Island, We didn't have the Books of Power. They're 1.5, 1.6. They're way into the future. But look at the amount of content you had at your disposal when this game was near its first completion state. The movements were much better now in the character. The game was much more sleek. You can tell the sheer effort he put into this, especially when you're breaking open rocks, and the staircases pop up. Look at the slime hutch there, it's way bigger than the slime hutch we know today. It's much smaller now. Look at all of the animals, they haven't really changed. The goats, the cows, the fruit trees, the pigs, the mutated crops. That was all put into the base game. Can I just say something before we continue? Mr. Concerned Ape, can you please go over to Studio Wildcard, sit down with the developers, and just give us some tips, on how to patch up a game, how to make a game good. I imagine if you are an independent developer, it can be a very lonely job. It can be a very lonely experience. And what we all have to remember here is that he didn't have any sort of teams, he'd no supervisors, he'd no people working under him. He soloed this entire thing. Every morning he woke up to brush his teeth, comb his hair, take his showers. What did he tell himself in the mirror to keep that motivation up? What internal conversations did that man have with himself when the years went by, when the money was very low? Could you imagine the conversations he had? Could you imagine the amount of times he would sit down, close his eyes, and try to evaluate what he's done so far and try to project where that will take him in the near future? And when you look at that, that's why this game is so special. He had a dream. He had this huge ambition, and nothing was going to stop him from completing this. And that's why this game is so powerful. This isn't just a person waking up one day, opening up an AI, and they're just generating assets, they're generating music, they're generating all these things within a snap of their fingers. This is someone who climbed a mountain with his bare hands. Look at all of the Stardew Valley NPCs, and I absolutely guarantee you that every single person that plays this game can relate to at least one of those characters. Because every single character is real. What they're experiencing, none of them are perfect. They all have their flaws. But because we can relate to them in so many ways, we love their flaws. We love them for being them. We love them for not trying to be this perfect NPC that always has the right answers, that always does the right things. For me, Stardew Valley isn't just a game, it's a community that brings people together. Every single Stardew Valley update that we have had over the past couple of years has been significant. The big question is, when this 1.7 will come out? That's my big question. But at the end of the day, I just want Mr. Concerned Ape to know there's never any rush for an update. Because Stardew Valley is an evergreen game. Stardew Valley is a game, especially in the winter months, when you just want to sit down and relax. It's always there for you. You can start up a new farm anytime you want. You can go to one of your existing save files, and you can be whatever you want to be. You can do whatever you want to do in Stardew Valley. That's how good this game actually is. And many developers have tried to replicate this game over the past couple of years. They have taken mechanics from this game and they've put it into their own formula. And even with that, you will still always go back to Stardew Valley. Why is that? It's quite simple. It's because Stardew Valley has that magic about it that the other games just don't seem to get. It has that uniqueness, that style, that level of freedom that other games just cannot nail down without destroying progress. Stardew Valley doesn't bottleneck you. It gives you a farm, it gives you the basic tools, and then it says, do whatever you want. Spend 20 minutes of your life trying to get a baby crit. It's funny. Shortly after the base game, the movies were added, fish ponds were added, loads of different NPC events were added, and it just added huge amounts of soul to the game. Remember COVID, when we all had to isolate, and then 1.5 came out, and almost every single person on the planet jumped into Stardew Valley and played the absolute stuffing out of Ginger Island, the volcano dungeon, doing all the Mr. Key quests, bringing all that lovely stuff back to the main farm. Perfection. Remember Wickedy and Leap a Lot and all of the old Stardew Valley YouTubers that played this? They were the best times. And then 1.6 came out a few years after that. And we all thought 1.6 was going to be a small little update that was going to support mods. The next thing, just bang, we got a huge desert festival that changed up the entire start of the game. We got books of power. We got skill mastery. We got so much stuff into that update. Now we have 1.7 coming out. God only knows what's going to be in that. We know we're going to have some marriage candidates, but that's just going to be the tip of the iceberg here, people. That's absolutely nothing compared to what he has in store. He has a team now. He's got people working for him. He's got developers that, as of this moment, are making Stardew Valley assets. The two new marriage candidates are going to be Clint and Sandy. I was delighted for Clint. I knew Clint was going to be chosen. Sandy took me by surprise. I thought for sure, he would have Marnie as one of the candidates. I mean, come on. We need to be able to marry Marnie. Now, before this video ends, I just want to showcase a couple of tips here. So if you are planning on marrying Clint or Sandy, this is the best way to do it. Sandy absolutely loves daffodils. So if you're in spring, make sure you stock up on huge amounts of daffodils. If you don't have botanists, don't worry about it. Try to grab gold star daffodils. When you access the desert, you can give 2 loved gifts to Sandy every single week. Keep an eye out on the Help Wanted quests too, because if you complete a Help Wanted quest for Sandy, you get some extra friendship points that way as well. Clint loves minerals. Amethysts, topazes, jades, aquamarines, emeralds, rubies. He also loves the gold bar, the iridium bar, and the Omni Geode. The Omni Geode is something a lot of people forget about, especially me, but Clint loves Omni Geodes. If you want to get married to these people as quickly as possible, try to get into the Mastery Cave, okay? Get yourself an advanced iridium rod. Make sure you grab the following fishing perks. Get Fisher, fish with 25% more, then get Pirate, chance to find treasure doubled. Use some iron bars, make some magnet bait. Use some gold bars, make some treasure hunters, okay? Equip 2 treasure hunters into the advanced iridium rod, along with some magnet bait. Make sure you enchant your rod to get preserving, okay? Might need a couple of enchants to get it done. Once you have that, go to your favourite fishing spot and try to get gold treasure chests. That's just a regular treasure chest. You won't get star drop teas out of that one, okay? You need to get the gold ones. If you do enough fishing with those perks, you will get treasure chests a lot. We just got a gold treasure chest right there. From these, you can get yourself star drop teas. Now this one doesn't have a star drop tea, we just pretend it does. But you can accumulate huge amounts of star drop teas this way. And you can give a star drop tea as a universal loved gift. But the great thing about a star drop tea is that you can give it as many times as you want, maxing out a character's friendship level in just mere seconds. If it's their birthday, you'll get bonus points as well. You'll have it done in no time. You can also get star drop teas from Mayor Lewis's ticket machine. You're guaranteed to get 1 star drop tea when you donate the first 5 tickets. Ticket number 5 would always be a star drop tea. Take my advice, save it for the birthday. You know, I don't say this enough, but I cannot wait for the 1.7 to come out, and when it does, it'll be my privilege to bring to you amazing Stardew Valley content. So stay tuned and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the sheer volumes of Stardew Valley content that's going to come your way. This is GamerGar, and I'll see you very soon in the next Stardew Valley video.